Do you like to make money? Do you want to learn how to make even more money? We have Robert Justice from Wells Fargo, and he's going to help us learn how to make all the money we possibly can. Plus, hot topics, we're going to be talking about Robin Williams. The Scene is next.
Hey Saline, welcome to The Scene. Here I am with Jeff and Charles. And pretty soon we're going to have Robert Justice on, who's going to talk to us about some financial stuff, which sounds really exciting.
I need that.
You do need that. I need that too. But first, we're going to talk about some topics of hotness.
I like hotness.
All right. I heard you did. So what do you got, guys? Topics of hotness.
I think, what about the mayor? Or not the mayor, the commissioner that's resigning, Barb Shirley.
Barb Shirley, yeah.
Very understandable based on what I read today about all the stuff that's going on in her life.
Yeah, very sad, very sad. Kind of give her a thumbs up the fact that she even held on that long, because I probably would have been out of there a long time ago myself.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what do we do now?
But the replacement part, that's what I'm not understanding. How they're going to replace.
Okay, how do we do that? I don't know anything about this. This city government kind of stuff.
Sounds like they're just going to get a commissioner that previously served, and these commissioners pick who it is. I don't understand that at all.
Do you think that's unfair?
I do. I think they need to give it back to the people. Let us vote on who it is, and we decide who goes in there.
So the commissioners they have now get to call up somebody who used to be a commissioner, who may have run to be a commissioner and lost, and then we're going to make a loser a winner. Not calling anybody a loser, but I'm just saying that could possibly happen. Other than just letting somebody like, let's say, me, be the commissioner.
Commissioner Jeff.
Is this city or county? I get them all mixed up.
This one's city.
I don't know any of
city.
Well, you're obviously not a good candidate.
No,
you
I'm the
know where
perfect candidate. I got fresh ideas. I don't know nothing about nothing.
Well, that's good. Sometimes when you go in with a blank slate, it works out better for you.
All this is blank. Everything up, it's just all blank. It's like a canvas. You can Picasso this canvas. There's not a thing up there.
Well, so I thought you said it had to be somebody who'd been on the commission before. Now,
right, and I think that's what they're somebody that's previously been on the commission. But I still don't agree with it. I just don't agree with it at all. Not one little bit.
So what do you think could happen if that? I mean, what is it about that makes you have heartburn?
Well, because I'm saying I always look at it as the buddy system. I picked the one I want. You know, you get the buddy in there, and then now you can make things operate a little smoother.
I see.
So maybe we want, I'm not so sure Aaron got along with her either, but I'm not sure about all that. So we get somebody that's buddied up with us. So like me and you go in there. And we say, we want this to work like this, and guess what? It works like that.
You think there may be some skullduggery afoot? Is that what you're saying?
That's basically what I'm saying.
No, I just made that up.
I like
that. That is a word. That is a word.
I like that. I can put a picture with skullduggery.
Yeah. Some shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I think.
Well, okay. Well, you might be on to something there. I don't know. Is it in the bylaws?
Well, next year they gotta have some new ones next year anyway. So why not just get an early one?
Vote. Put it out to the people. Who we want.
That's
people
right.
Can run.
That's right. And
You could run.
I could start my campaign early.
You can start your campaign.
You heard it
early.
here.
Yeah.
All right, there it is. We got it.
That's right.
Right now.
That's right.
Your campaign.
And I will allow you to put a sign in my yard.
I asked permission.
You did.
Prior segment.
You did. You did.
So.
Okay. So, what about, let's talk a little bit about Robin Williams.
Very sad.
Wow.
That's very sad.
Very sad.
Yeah. So, he's kind of taken over the news today.
Yes, he did.
We talked about that earlier, Jeff.
Yeah, I watched the 5:30 news, and of course they're talking about the new war in Iraq, and we're bombing this, and that's kind of been going lately. And Robin Williams' passing just kind of smashed out all that out. Kind of reminded me a little bit about when Farrah Fawcett died. She kind of had the spotlight for about an hour and a half, and then Michael Jackson died, and we just forgot who she was.
Yeah.
And the whole day long, I was like, hey, I love Michael Jackson too, but he, somebody else died too. Don't forget about this lady too. And yeah, it's a bad situation. Depression's a bad thing. I'm very glad that last year the president came out with this $300 million. I know a lot of people know about this. $300 million study per year for 10 years to study the brain. And I think that's $300 million well spent to map the brain, to study it. We have to figure that out. It's a disease. If I have a heart problem, nobody's going to say I'm weak. But if you have depression, there's still kind of that stigma with it that a person's weak. And that's not true. That's not true. Depression's not something that you can control.
Right. Yeah. And there are a lot of people that suffer from that.
Yes.
And there are so many people that don't know if somebody's suffering from that.
Right. The kid you see at school just kind of sitting all by himself could be suffering from depression. He might not be stuck up. He or she might not be stuck up. The person you see at work that never talks to anybody.
Right.
That person.
Or it could even be a
depressed.
guy that does talk to everybody, but he's holding it all into the inside.
Right. He's covering.
And so you later find out, and I'm just speaking from what a guy that I used to know, later you find out that this guy's just killed himself. But you never see in the outward appearance anything wrong with that guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's where it gets really hard to diagnose what they're really going through. And I mean, I find myself sometimes even dipping down, but I bring myself back up.
Right.
But I think we all go through those times. It's just some go through it worse than others.
Yeah.
Well, he'd also struggled with drug and alcohol addiction.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's no telling. I mean, and we don't know. Toxicology tests aren't out yet.
Right.
So, but if you're depressed and you're kind of mixing that with alcohol and drugs, there's just, I mean, because we were talking about how he killed himself, and that in itself is was kind of mind-blowing, too. I mean, it's a pretty violent kind of thing.
Well, if you have access to as many things as he had access to on the drug side of things,
Right.
I guess that did surprise me a little bit about the violent way that, he decided to end his life. And, it makes you think, was it just, did he have nothing else, and was it just time? In his mind, was it just time? I don't know. It's very hard to understand when people get to that point, that lowest point, what they're going through.
And his show had just been canceled.
Right,
So I'm sure that kind of added a little bit.
Right.
Maybe he didn't think any more self-worth. Maybe he thought, hey, I've spent all the time on this earth that he wanted to. I mean, we're never going to know that.
That's right.
I mean, we're not going to know that. It's just very sad. It's very sad. But people need to get help. I mean, if you're feeling like that, you need to get help. You need to talk to somebody.
Absolutely.
Friend, pastor, counselor, mom, dad, cat, dog. I mean, I don't know, whatever. I mean, I talk to my cat.
But see, and
Because
that's
my kids won't talk to
but
me.
that's probably
So,
that's probably
you
the
got to talk to
problem.
somebody.
I think that's probably the problem right there. At that lowest moment, do you want to go talk to somebody? A lot of times you don't want to talk to anybody, I would think. I mean, you're so down, and you're holding yourself so down, you may not even feel worthy to talk to somebody.
True, true.
You know, I know the guy that I know that had that mishap happen to him. He was a great guy to be around, but his girlfriend had broke up with him, and he had some bills that were crunching on him, and the next thing I know, we find out that the guy's committed suicide.
Everything just kind of closed in on him
Right.
all at once.
And he talked all the time. You know, he was telling us about his girlfriend, da-da-da-da. He'd say different things, but he never really said it, you know, like that pressure was coming down on him like that. And then the next thing you know, we're going to a funeral.
Very sad. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, if there's anything that good that can come out of this is that, here's a thought I had today. I remember when Rock Hudson contracted AIDS, and I thought, oh, AIDS now has a face. So maybe now depression will have a face. Maybe we can get more awareness, more study, people can get more help. Maybe something good can come out of this. I'm definitely a very, very sad day today, and I feel for his family. I mean, I don't even want to know what they're going through. But maybe there's somebody out there who saw this, and maybe they'll get help. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, good point, Jeff. Way to turn it around. Think of it from a positive angle. I like that.
Something positive has to come from this, right?
Yes, absolutely. I'm interested more in what you said about that brain study. What did you said?
Last year, did you not?
No, I don't know. My brain does not know this.
They're mapping the human genome. $300 million study. Was it the $300 million that got you, or was it the study?
Well, the $300 million.
That's a drop in the bucket for the amount of money that the government spends. That's like one bomb.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
We spent that when we bombed those people over there in Iraq, like in 8 seconds. That's like a drone. That's
Okay.
nothing.
All right.
So easy on the money.
Well, I mean, you're usually the one that's concerned about spending money.
Well, they've already got the money, so might as well spend it.
Okay. Well, that's a lot of zeros coming out of your mouth, and you saying it's okay, and I'm just not used to that. So.
All right. Well, why don't we do this? We'll talk about that next time. Right now, and speaking of money, we got to get with Robert Justice, because he needs to come over here and tell me how to get myself out of my financial crisis that I'm in right now. Okay?
Are you in a crisis?
I'm in a crisis.
I think everybody's in a crisis at some point in their life.
Yeah, it's awful. I'm sweating so bad. It's a crisis.
Yeah.
Not the fact that the AC is not working here. My financial crisis is killing me. Stay tuned. Help is on the way. The Scene. We'll be right back.
Hey, are you cruising around late at night looking for something to do? Come on down to Access TV and we will help you film whatever you want and get it on air. That's Access TV, 823-2500.
You made it. Years of hard work, investing, planning, and now you're here. The long-awaited reward you spent a lifetime looking forward to. But what now? After years of growing a nest egg, now you may want to manage it. Use it to fund your dreams. Make it last as long as you need it. And leave some for those you love. So what do you do? Wall Street continues to be uncertain, and some conservative options have dropped through the floor. How do you maintain opportunities for growth and reduce risk of loss from market changes? That's where we come in. We are financial professionals. From insurance products to tax reduction strategies and guaranteed retirement income you cannot outlive, provided by the claims-paying ability of insurance companies. You've worked a lifetime to get here. Let us help you enjoy it to the fullest. For a complimentary consultation, simply contact us today.
welcome back to the sauna. I mean the scene. We have no air conditioning in here, so if we start to sweat, you'll understand why. With us today is Robert Justice, and he is with Wells Fargo Financial. And just so you know that we didn't drag somebody in a suit off of the street to have them come in here and sit with us.
Yeah.
Tell us about your history, your background, your credentials, all of the above.
Oh boy. History, I grew up in Saline and have 4 children and active lives, 4 teenagers. And my investing started very early on. I've had a job since I was 12 and I've always been somewhat driven to do something. Credential-wise, I've gone through the College of Financial Planning and got a number of different designations, and feel like I'm compelled to do this. I love what I do.
Great. So check, he is qualified.
And looks great in this suit.
That's right. Yeah.
Hey, what school did you go to?
Well, college, I went to Sacramento and right out of high school, and went to American River College, and then to Sac State for a semester, and my mom got cancer. And so I moved back to Saline, Kansas, and started in business with them, and then got into investing through a family friend. Gary Duff had been with Edward D. Jones, and that's where I got my education to do what I do. And then went to Bank 4, which was bought by Boatman's, that was bought by Nations Bank, that was bought by Bank of America. And that's when I went over to A.G. Edwards. And A.G. Edwards now is sold to Wachovia and is now Wells Fargo Advisors.
Wow.
So that's kind of, I've seen a lot of changes but never, making the change myself.
Amazing.
Wow.
So, Jeff, I know you have a burning question to ask.
I most certainly do. All right. Let's just say I know this guy. And he's over 50 years old. And he, for the last, let's say, 30 years, has spent money like a drunken bum sailor on a 3-day pass. And so he's got no money. He's got nothing to his name. He's old. Retirement staring him right in the face. Is he doomed to an existence of poverty?
Well, I think the earlier you start to save, the more chance you have to excel or have more to retire on. And at 50, you're not as young as starting out.
Right.
So are you doomed? No. I guess I look at it as we are this generation. We're the same generation. We've gotten this mindset that we deserve what our parents have and not have to work for it. And that's the biggest mistake that I see, is that we don't do anything to help ourselves. We expect the help from somebody else. And so right now, if the friend is out there that needs a kick in the butt, this is the time to start. It's today. You don't put it off. The market's not too high, it's not too low. It doesn't matter where the market's at. You start saving and paying yourself something. That's my best advice, and not spend more than you make. And that's setting up a budget.
So what is the first step you would recommend that somebody does in finding a financial advisor?
I guess, I don't know the best answer to that, but I would say that good policy might be to ask some friends and get referrals, and the internet. We've got this internet that can answer questions like that, and so pulling up budgets and that sort. For the persons that's just getting started, the budget's the first thing you got to do. Where's my money going? And as a influence, that's a good influence out there on the radio land, is Dave Ramsey, and he's going to promote beans and rice. Well, and the idea is, I don't agree with everything he says, but I do agree with doing without so that you can save something. And if you're not saving something, you're not helping yourself out for retirement.
Right.
So Dave Ramsey does have a lot of advice to give. He has, plans out there, he has books and all of that kind of stuff.
Right, he's one, and there's hundreds. There's hundreds.
And so you said you only agree with part of what he says.
He doesn't agree with that beans and rice part.
The beans and rice.
I don't agree with that either. I ain't down with no beans or no rice.
Well, I'll tell you, when I went to college, it was top ramen and potatoes.
Yeah.
I did without. But and that's the idea, is you've got to go without so that you have a chance to save. And, you don't have to have the nicest of everything. And if you do, you're not going to get ahead. That's the thing. I work with a lot of people that have made it, and that's what this country was made on, is people that have, buckled up and done without and sacrificed and it paid off, and that's right. I mean, that's what needs to happen. So, I don't know how to find the best financial advisor, but what I would say is you get on the internet and do some research, and you can look at bios and what their philosophies might be, and but again, the first thing to investing is starting out with a plan. If you don't have any plan, you're not going to meet it. That's you're setting yourself up to fail.
So I'm sure you hear excuses from people as to why they don't save, or what are
Sure.
some of the common excuses that you hear most often?
Well, the market's too high. I don't make enough. I can't save it because I don't make enough. That's probably the biggest one. But the market's too high. And what I'd say to that is that, if I knew what the market was going to do, I wouldn't be here. I'd be filthy rich and doing something. But I'm really glad to be asked to be here. The crystal ball isn't needed. It's just get out there and save 10%. Most retirement plans, if you're employed, there's a retirement plan. If you don't have a retirement plan, it's still up to you to save. You can't expect somebody else to take care of you. You got to save some on your own. And that brings up, where do you save money? Whether it's through an IRA or a pre-tax account or a post-tax account. And what I would say to that is I don't have the answer, because I don't know what taxes are going to be, and I don't know what your longevity is going to be. Mm-hmm. But the more buckets of money you have to draw from, the more choices you have at the time of drawing it. So I'd say that you do a little of both. Company plans, when you start looking at a 401k, some of them match 4 cents on the dollar, or 4%. They'll match 4%. If you put away 4%, they'll match it. That's a dollar for dollar match. So they're going to say, hey, I'll double your money if you put in 4%. I can't do that. I can't. You come to me, I can't guarantee a double.
Right.
So a retirement plan is the best place you can save first. It's not through a financial advisor, it's through your company. And most companies, if they have the 401k, now have a Roth provision, and that's the post-tax savings that'll grow tax-free. Mm-hmm. And your money would go in there and be taxed already, but when you take it out eventually, it's already gotten the taxes. You don't pay any more taxes. The match that the company's making would go into a pre-tax account. So you're getting both worlds with that 4%. But when you start thinking about 4% of what you make, that dollar, whatever it is, that isn't very much. Unless you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then it is. But, 10% is a good place to start, because most people, when they start, won't touch it. Once they've set up an amount, they don't go back in and revisit, hey, I got a raise, or I got married, my spouse is working, or whatever the life events are.
Right. Well, I think it's hard for people to part with them with their earnings, to put that into savings. But I think it's a big mistake, and I think you pointed that out, that if your company's giving away money,
it's free money.
It's free money. You need to take that.
Right.
And even if that's all you do, that's better than nothing.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't relate with giving away the match. You can always do without. And when it comes down to the dollars and cents, it's not too hard to come out with how much that is every 2 weeks, or most people are paid bi-weekly, but it isn't that much. It's a 6-pack or a 12-pack, whatever.
What is it, Jeff?
Not that much.
I have no idea. I don't drink.
Okay.
Well, it's doing without something so that you can pay yourself.
Well, let's hold on to that, and we'll be right back.
Whatever your world, Access TV can put it on air. Give us a call at 823-2500. By law, public access is open to all citizens and to all viewpoints and for only non-commercial purposes. If you have any idea for a television program, we want you to be a member and we want to cablecast your program. TV for you, by you. Just give us a call at 785-823-2500 to find out more.
Hi, welcome back. We're with Robert Justice, and he is trying to get us financially educated. Financially fit. That sounds good. So I hear I can't say that word. Statistics.
You just did.
I did it. In the news that point towards a rising economy. Okay, so what are the signs that the average person can look for to support that? Because I hear, economy's good, it's good for investment.
That's a great question. And Shauna, what I'd tell you is that we're very concerned with the second to second and the minute to minute, and it makes no difference. That's a way to talk yourself out of doing what you know is right, which is safe. And whether the market's going up or down doesn't matter. What matters is that you're taking money out of every paycheck and paying yourself. So that's what I'd tell you on that answer.
Okay, well, that makes me sad, because if I have an investment and the economy is getting better, then does that make my investment better?
Yeah, it makes your worth's going up. Your net worth's going up. But if the market's down and you're putting money in, you're just buying that many more shares. And the idea is we're filling up this proverbial bucket with shares. And some days you're paying more for them, and some days you're paying less, but you're still buying them.
So I think what I'm hearing you say here is that the rate of return on whatever money you've got going on, it's a long-term thing.
Exactly.
Okay, so if I buy more shares and I buy them cheaper and the economy goes up, I'm happy, do my happy dance, right?
Right.
But I shouldn't be too worried if the economy goes down, because eventually it will come back up and I will hopefully be continuing to make money.
Rewarded for that. To me, the biggest mistake that I've seen, and we've seen a lot of markets go up and down here over the last few years. We had 2007.
Right.
We hit a peak in October or so, and then March of 2009 was the bottom. And the biggest mistake that I've seen is the ones that are selling out in 2009. They live through all this, and then they sell out, and they aren't thinking long term. They've forgotten what they were trying to do. And the markets are going to go up and down no matter what I do or you do. It's driven. The media is usually pretty negative. Not to blame, but the bottom line is our company's making money. And that's what companies are supposed to do, is make money.
Right.
And that's what we want them to do as an investor, is make money. It's not bad to have them make money. It helps us out. And the media's constant barrage is to say how bad that is, or the breaking news every 2 minutes, like I was saying, to try to get us to react. And if you're invested in stocks or mutual funds, you need to have at least a 5-year outlook. The market's going to go up and down. And if I sell something to you today and you don't have 5 years, I'm likely to get a commission and have you lose money, next week when you call to get the money back. And that's why I would say the perspective is, instead of with our blinders looking second to second and every 2 minutes having breaking news, it's 5 years from now, am I better off? And with dividends, you've got companies that are making money and they share that in a form of a dividend, or they're buying more bricks and mortar and expanding, and that makes the share price go up. So I'd say that we don't want, forget the markets, forget that. I'd tell you to start investing through your 401k or however with an advisor, and just get it started.
And don't get too happy when it's up, and don't get too sad when it's down.
Well, that's right. It's going to go up, and it's okay to be, you do need to look at your statements and just make sure that your shares are there, and they're going to fluctuate. The price per shares are going to fluctuate. That's good. It gives us buying opportunities or ways to make money. The money managers, mutual funds, we're paying somebody to make us money, and that's how they make us money.
So one thing I've wondered about the Roth IRA, the tax side of things. Okay, so for a long, long time, it was a great idea to do pre-tax savings. And now all of a sudden, they're pushing the Roth IRA. Pay your taxes now so you won't have to pay it later. Is that a government ploy?
Well, I don't know how to answer that, but what I would say, like I said earlier, Roth and a pre-tax and a post-tax savings, and then even a taxable savings, give us different buckets of money. And when we're ready to use money, we can look at the tax situation. If tax rates have gone up, we may want to use what we've already paid taxes on, or like a joint account or a single account, whatever, the tax as we go. And then the Roth is tax-free because we've paid the taxes back whenever we saved it. And then we've got the tax-deferred account to choose from. So having choices is going to give us, I think it's the greatest thing. It gives us another choice.
Oh, so
You just blame the Roth on Barack Obama. Is that what I just heard you say?
I didn't name any names. I just said.
You just said the government.
I just said I thought,
World
trying to get
peace,
us to pay our taxes up front on this investment could be a way to fund other things that we can't fund because
All right. I see where you're going.
we're down in the tanker.
Okay.
Well, and I'll tell you what my opinion is on the Roth is, the younger you are, the more advantage it is because you've got time. Time's on your side. And that's the tax-free growth. I mean, you've already paid the taxes, so it's going to grow tax-free.
So my 50-year-old friend, he probably should stay away from that Roth thing.
Well, no, like I was saying, I don't know what taxes are going to do or how long you're going to live. That friend's going to live. We don't know how long we're going to live.
Right, it's my friend. It's a friend.
Right. So we don't know what's the best, and that's the thing.
Use
the
both.
choices, having the choices is where I would lead people, is because we don't know.
So tell me what the terms bull and bear market mean.
That's a good question. Bull and bear. Bull means the market's going up, and a bear means it's going down. And if you think of what a bull does when it's goring, it takes its head and gores upward.
Yeah.
And that's an upward market. And a bear takes his paw and comes down. And that's a bear market. It's coming down.
So they were actually named for those animals based on how the animals work?
Kill you?
Yes.
Kill you.
Yes.
Yes, kill you.
I'm never going to run with the bulls, but I may see a bear.
Interesting. I had no idea that was that way. Okay. Well, I'm going to name some things after some animals
Yeah,
too.
why not? We go back.
Why not?
Speaking of our money and the money we work for, how can I get my Social Security money now? I want my Social Security. I'm afraid that by the time I get to that blessed age, it's all going to be gone.
It's going to be gone.
How do I get that money now?
Yeah, and I'm afraid that my
You can't.
my Roth IRA that I'm paying taxes on now is going to be taxed.
It's going to be taxed
Yeah.
again. Yeah. Who do I need to vote for to where I can get that money now? Is there a guy out there? Is there a party? Is there who? I want my Social Security money now. Let me invest it or spend it or waste it or buy ice cream. How can I get my money
It's a great
now?
place to end.
We'll be right back.
However you get to Access, just get to Access. Come visit us at 215 North 9th Street, Salina, Kansas. Phone number is 785-823-2500.
Hi, we're back with Robert Justice, and now that we have Jeff calmed down, he has another question he wants to ask Robert.
All right, so off camera, they told me that I'm not getting my Social Security money now. I've got to wait, so I'm good with that. So, credit score. Got my credit score. My friend has his credit score, and it's a little low. What's one thing he can do to kind of lift it up there a little bit?
Honestly, Jeff, I'm not real sure the best way to do that. On the banking side, you know, Wells Fargo, I'm in the investment side, and I give you investment advice. And on the credit scores, what I know is paying your bills on time and how to get the score to come up, I think, is with that, and then there's time. If there was late payments, getting those communicated with the whoever the card was with, and seeing if they can work with you and getting those off, I think is probably something that could be done. But I honestly am not the person to ask on that, on the credit scores, how to get that up.
Because I keep, somebody's like, hey, get a credit card, that'll help you. And then somebody else is like, no, don't get a credit card, or make sure you keep a balance, or don't keep a balance.
I would tell you to pay the darn thing off, and that's, but my background is why would you pay interest?
Right.
You know, and interest on credit cards is usually higher than what the bank would lend. And, you know, interest rates are at historic lows or near them. And so it's a great time to be borrowing money. It's a terrible time to be in retirement with having built your wealth and used to getting higher interest on your CDs or fixed rate things, and now they're the ones that are having a hard time making ends meet because they aren't getting what they were used to getting on a secured investment.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's a very valid point, because I hear that a lot from my parents. You know, they're saying, hey, I have this great investment, and I have this lifestyle I want to lead, and back in the day when I was working, everybody was riding high on the retirement, you know, let's retire and travel and do all this stuff, and, you know, now they can barely make ends meet. They have to move someplace where it's less expensive to live and all of that, because the investment return is so low.
Right.
So.
Is that who moved in next to me? Your parents moved in next to me?
No, they don't live
Man,
here.
they have loud
They can't live in
parties every
Salina. It's
night.
too expensive.
So I have a question. Like on pay, you know, you were talking about how the employees, the companies that have those retirement plans. So what's your thoughts on, you know, how they let them get loans off of those?
Oh, that's a great
401ks?
question, Charles. What I would tell you is I think it's a very bad idea. Like I just said, interest rates are low. Now, there's a number of factors that come into this, you know, try to answer this fully, and I'm not so sure that I can here, but what I would tell you is that most loan provisions on a 401k say you're going to pay yourself back interest. But you're paying yourself back with what's called post-tax money. So it's money that's been taxed. And if you're in the 25% tax bracket, let's say, and another 5 for state, that's 30, You're paying yourself back 9. Well, what does that give you? A 21% loan. Money's cheaper than that. Now, the idea of the loan on the 401ks is great because they can get it like this. I mean, it happens very fast and very little paperwork. So, you know, the bottom line is, what's it costing me? And you got to know that before doing it. And I can't tell you what it's costing you or, you know, a person to get it from there. But what I'd say is to really think this through, and you aren't just paying yourself back interest. You aren't making that 8 or whatever % on that. They're telling you that you're paying yourself back interest.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think people turn to that, like, say, Jeff's friend who has a bad credit score.
Right.
He would turn to that because
He sees this pile of money.
right, he sees the pile of money and he doesn't have to qualify for that. It's his own money.
Right.
Well,
So-
and they're not wrong. It is their money. But what I'm trying to say is that when we do without, it gives us more time to have that money grow over that time. And that's the idea of an investment, is to allow it time to grow. That's why we buy a house. That's why we buy, you know, cars aren't, you know, but we all are driving new cars. Or,
Right.
you know, if we can do without something so that we can save more, I think you're going to be ahead of the game here. Not second to second. You know, it's going to go up and down. You look at your statement next month, the price ain't negative, but who knows?
Yeah, mine always says negative. I'm never in the positive side of things.
But did you hear the good thing he just said?
What'd he say?
He said house.
Oh, gosh.
House.
House. I was like, yes.
Nothing
Yes.
like having the realtor
It's
on
okay.
Yes.
It's okay to have a house.
Yes.
Not that
Yes.
car. We don't have any car salesmen here, thank goodness.
Right. I
Okay,
would tell
so-
you that a house has got more propensity to appreciate, and a car is going to depreciate.
Depreciate.
Right.
You know, you got to take care of the house if you own it. But anyway, I do agree with that.
Let's talk a little bit about internet scams. There's a lot of stuff out there on the internet. People can go out there and invest money and buy stocks and all of that. How do you feel about that?
Well, I guess the right answer is that yes, there's a lot of scams out there, and I'll tell you the scams are targeting everyone. They're targeting us, you know, as a Wells Fargo advisors, and you know, you hear about it on the radio or read it in the paper every day where somebody was scammed. You know, your grandson or whatever's in jail, or wire the money here, or you've won the lottery and wire money. You know, I guess it's really, if you have a question on legitimacy, I would follow your gut and say, hey, you're probably right. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
That's right.
And you know, I don't know the answer to internet scams, because we've got to have the internet. You know, we've got to have this communication somehow. But if you have a question, I'd tell you to ask somebody that you trust.
So I've never done any investing before, and should I just kind of go out there and use E-Trade or whatever's out there? I mean, should people
Probably
really
not.
be out there using those types of
They got
internet?
great commercials.
They do have
Right.
good commercials. I do like that, but
You know, I guess buying and stocks and or mutual funds, there's a whole plethora of different types of investments. What I would say is that when you try to do it yourself, you've got a lot more risk. When you use a professional, you're probably going to get some legitimacy. You know, they're going to have to. You're going to ask them questions. What does it cost me to invest with you?
Right.
What's the return net of that? And
guidance.
That's
You get
well,
guidance.
and then you get the guidance. So. I don't know. I just think that the average investor shouldn't be out there just trying to pick a penny stock and saying it's going to go up. It isn't going to work most of the time. It does, but it's not. It's like winning the lottery or what have you. It's not likely.
right.
It does happen.
That's probably a real good point. I mean, a lot of times, it's even in the house industry, when you go out and try to sell your house, and then you end up having to come back to get a realtor. It's the same way. You go out, lose your money, then you got to come back to try and make up that money and get a professional to take care of it. So I think that happens a lot out there, and that's what we need to look at for real.
So you're saying that my friend shouldn't be clicking on those emails that say buy silver.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly
He
what I'm
should
saying.
not be doing that.
Unless it's going into my account.
Okay, all right. I got some great information to tell him. He's going to be pretty excited.
He's got a good friend.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, you know, there's a perception out there that finance and financial advisors and all of that kind of stuff is really boring. Can finance be fun ever?
Well, sure. I mean, if you set a goal and attain it, that's fun. And that's what I'd say is that it isn't something that's going to happen overnight. But yeah, especially with kids, I think we do such a disservice by not bringing our kids up early on how to pay themselves first.
That's a very good point. A very good point. How to go out and earn a little bit of money and save half and maybe go out and, you know, do something else with the other half, but start the process of thinking about saving early on in their development years, and then maybe they wouldn't be like Jeff's friend.
Right. Saving and investment that helps the country, helps your friends.
There you go. Well, we thank you so much for being with us today. We have learned so much about finance and the fun of it and how we can better equip ourselves with wealth when it's time to retire.
That's it.
So thanks so much, and thanks for watching The Scene.